Today's AskReddit post. What ideas are dangerous and wrong 100%, even if they are popular? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. Kindness on the road by unnecessarily giving away your right of way. Don't be polite. Be predictable. Stick to the road laws. This is especially frustrating when someone slows to let you in. The traffic is very light. Had they just kept going, you could have turned and been on your way quicker than waiting to figure out why they are slowing down. Risking your health or life under peer pressure. Too many college students and others have died because of shot games, drug binges and dangerous stunts. In high school there was this party spot with a maybe 3-story bridge over water. Me, trying to look tough, told my friends if they jumped I would. So anyway, that's the true story of the time when all my friends jumped off a bridge, so then I did too. To be fair, at least it's not the story about how you killed 3 of your friends and then wimped out. That a line of paint will protect you with regard to a road or highway. Oh, it's fine. I'm behind the white line, this means nothing. Graveyards are littered with people who had the right of way. The laws of physics trump the laws of traffic. Tailgating someone while driving. No justification for doing it, and puts people into unquestionable danger. It's crazy when there's someone in front of you too. Like, WTF are they expecting me to do? Tailgate the person in front of me just as hard? I usually slow down to create a buffer between me and the person in front of me, and since slower speeds require less distance to stop, it's actually safer for me. I tried to let a guy out of a parking lot in New York City when I was 19, and he flipped me off and screamed, "That's why we always have traffic. Asshole, nice guys like you." I learned my lesson that day in the most New York way possible. Ha. You know how the New York City tough guys in movies always yell something like, "Watch it, I'm walking here." See, those scenes are not very realistic because none of the drivers ever gets out to their car to start breaking knees. Or better yet, pelt Bohemian Rhapsody at 100% volume and charge full speed ahead. Mama. Point is, traffic is rough, and sorry you had to deal with an asshole. Thinking that you are immune to propaganda. Redditors should pay attention to this one. Making a suicide court for your Christmas lights. I had to look this up because I've heard the term before, but don't understand what it is. And I have to say I have never seen a cable with 2 male ends like this before. I didn't know they were even available. They aren't. They're illegal to sell because *THEY will kill you asterisk. You have to make them yourself. Brake checking people. Fucked up way to cause accidents. In certain circumstances, depending on my mood and how much time I have, I might gently release the gas to go a little bit slower. When I die I can have all the sleep I want. There is no point doing it now. Shockingly, and this may be hard to believe folks, not all women's pain can be sourced back to just being a bad period. If you are in excruciating pain in your abdominal area, especially if it's during that time of the month, you should not be being dismissed by doctors and dismissed with suggestion of just getting some Aleve. It could be serious. Binge drinking. It damages the hell out of your body, and being young is no protection from long-term damage. Wish I'd cared enough when I was a teen and slowly destroying my brain cells. Undiagnosed bipolar disorder is a bitch. 15 years later, and I'm stuck with reduced cognitive abilities and a ducked up stomach. Made an Korean spin in moderation in his grave. Kids, do drugs responsibly. Exponential growth in a system of finite resources. Realistically, this is the best one. So many people point out, hey, there were times in the past where the human race thought it was up against the hard limits of nature, but then a technology came along that made things better. And they are right. That's true. But there also can be black swan events, unprecedented failures or catastrophes, probably arising from the fact that eventually our resource depletion outstrips our efficiency gains. Even the current level of depletion could prove catastrophic long run. We produce more carbon dioxide in 8 months than Earth can turn to oxygen in 12 months. The only people who sometimes point this out are liberals. But any realistic solutions are shouted down as classist or partial. They usually are. Hyperconsumption should be targeted more so than overpopulation, but addressing only the first one will never solve the issue. Thinking that your sense of self and satisfaction comes from the world and how it perceives you, rather than from within and how you perceive the world. It goes both ways. How the world perceives you can have impact on your inner state of mind and vice versa. Humans are social creatures, and in the vast majority, need interaction and validation from their environment to function properly. The duck everyone else and just somehow shotgun happiness/satisfaction into your brain does not work for most people. That criminals should be beat up, killed or raped in prison. That does nothing to stop the cycle of violence, and just makes for more dangerous criminals when they get released on the streets. Yeah. Prison shouldn't be a place that turns a first-time non-violent offender into a violent career criminal. Crime reduction is better than trying to be punitive after the fact. Allowing companies to harvest and sell your data while feeding you the news and content they select for you. That the Congress can decide not to verify the votes of the Electoral College. The Constitution does not mention this at all and does not give them the power to do so. It explicitly says that their role is just to count the votes. The problem is that, in order to count a vote, you have to identify it. In 1876, Congress received rival sets of votes from some states, leading to a highly unsatisfactory resolution by an appointed commission. Subsequently, there have been laws about how a vote can be challenged. The Constitution describes a number of things which logically require more detailed rules for the exact process. Of course, refusing to accept a vote on the basis of party advantage would be improper, but it happened in 1876. Any strict, extremist point of view, whether cultural, religious, political, etc. History says that running a large group of people, such as a nation state, based on a single extremist ideology never turns out well. History says that running a large group of people never turns out well. Scalability's a bitch. That there are two sides to every story. It's technically true, but that doesn't mean both sides are equal and should get the same treatment. This black and white way of looking at it is wrong. There are basically infinite sides to every story. Embrace the gray. There are some absolute evils. Sometimes the bad guy is really the bad guy and should be dealt with as such. In a large group of humans deciding on what to do, driven by the loudest and most impulsive in the group, pretty much all of them. That women can't be abusers or men can't be victims. My parents' main critique of May December is that, even after watching the whole movie, they can't buy the idea that a woman was a groomer. That's something that shocked me up so badly that I didn't want to talk with them for a few days. WTF would they say if you presented them with the litany of cases where women abused children? Deny it? Banning books. Dehumanizing people. Piercing a baby's ears. Piercings are not temporary. They are a scar. The risk of infection when you pierce a literal ball of snot, drool, poop, and puke is insane. Just wait until the kid is like 4 and can tell you they want them and can maybe be more trusted not to constantly touch them involuntarily. Fuck's sake, dude. I think we should wait until the child is old enough to give informed consent before doing any type of body modification that is not medically necessary. Piercings, maybe age 12 or 13. I think a 13-year-old would be able to determine whether or not they want ear piercings. Fame is good in and of itself. Fame can eat a person alive. First example that comes to mind is Princess Diana, among others. Being mean, rude, or an overall jerk to someone with a differing opinion. Generally true, but there are some opinions not worthy of respect. Everyone is experiencing the same reality. Two people can go through the exact same scenario to a T and still come away with it differently. Building new and bigger highways will ease traffic. Requiring new stores to have parking lots will help with parking congestion. Discrimination against homeless people. Realistically, the majority of people here are only a hospital bill or two away from homelessness themselves. The idea that every homeless person is a drug addict who could never contribute anything to society is not only wrong but harmful, since it makes it that much harder for them to get help. I remember being told once not to give homeless people money because they just buy drugs and alcohol. I now realize how stupid that notion is. Yes, there are some people out there who are going to do just that. But I'd rather give someone money and risk having them spend it irresponsibly than turn down a starving person because I'm prejudiced against them. Also, hostile architecture. Why is it a thing? These people are already struggling, and the majority of hostile architecture is inconvenient for everyone regardless of wealth. A person being undesirable is not an excuse to treat them as less than human. And yet a shocking number of people seem to think that anyone who doesn't have a guaranteed place to sleep each night is somehow worse than them. People don't think babies and toddlers can experience trauma because they don't always consciously remember it, but they absolutely can and do, and there are therapists designed for the pre-verbal, like play therapy, where they have 1000 toys to choose from to recreate what happened and process that story with a professional. People blindly supporting politicians, and I don't mean just Trump, I mean in general. You see this on Reddit pretty constantly. Cutting the social safety net in the belief that trickle-down economics is an actual working system. I think the reasoning is more insidious than that. Generally, I think the reasoning some groups advocate for that is incentivizes laziness. The line of reasoning is that because systems like welfare and SNAP exist, people will see that as an easy out and refuse to get work. If you remove the system, people will have no other choice than to work, which completely ignores the reality of the world and the role of government. Dying for a religion. Look up Franz Georg Statter. He was an Austrian Catholic during the time of the Third Reich. He was conscripted to join the Nazi military, but refused to do it because of his faith. He would not swear the required oath of loyalty to Hitler. For this, he was sentenced to death and killed. He wasn't wrong. That Putin is not an enemy to every single person in the West. Russia has literally said the West is their enemy since Putin was in charge and has threatened nuclear attacks on a lot of Western countries. Yet, certain people are defending Russia and wanting to abandon the European country facing genocide that poses hands. I do like how he's managed to convince far right-wing idiots that Russia is a conservative paradise. Haven't heard of many people moving there yet aside from that Canadian family. I prefer they leave their kids back home. But 8 won't miss the ones who do move over there. Child beauty pageants. A lot of challenges on TikTok. The anti-vaccine movement wouldn't have killed so many people if Andrew Wakefield had never come out with that vaccines cause autism article. It's insane how one article from one disgraced joke of a greedy scientist has managed to poison the minds of so many people. Using someone's actions to justify torturing them. Denying well-established scientific facts, such as the reality of climate change, the efficacy of vaccines, or the theory of evolution, not only undermines progress, but also endangers public health and environmental sustainability. That whole thing, when people would freehand climb really tall buildings then die by accident BC, they thought it was exhilarating and cool. The incarceration of the mentally ill. Flushing flushable wipes down the toilet. I'm baffled at how those can even legally be sold as flushable when they aren't. Raw milk. I'm seeing a trend for raw dairy and people are forgetting why we started processing it in the first place. Staph, fecal bacterial, and worse live on udders. They're literally 24 inches from the chocolate starfish of a cow, and nobody can convince me that it's healthy to drink milk that's fresh out the splatter zone. Plus, diseases like vaccapox and bovine TB, while rare, still exist in America, and are devastating when contracted. especially to children. Bovine TB can literally melt bones if contracted early in life. Pott's disease. For a statistic, as of 1891, 1 in 4 babies died before reaching the next stage of life, majority of disease, which was often contracted through raw milk. After pasteurization was introduced, the infant fatality rate dropped to 1 in 14. Source: McGill University's OS publication. Boys will be boys. I swear until like 6 or 8 years ago, that only meant stuff like roughhousing and childish pranks. Vague expressions can often be misinterpreted, which is why they are dangerous. Big example is "the customer is always right" is grossly misunderstood. Using a deontology as a universal normative ethical approach. In other words, applying your ideas or religious beliefs of what is right and wrong on everybody else, regardless of who or where or when they are. Everyone should be required to own a car to get around and perform basic tasks. Asterisk asterisk sitting too close to the DV ruins your eyesight. Asterisk asterisk this is an old wives' tale with no scientific backing. The entire anti-vax movement, based on lies, and used to manipulate gullible people. It might be one of the bigger ills of our society. Once a more fringe ideology, things came to a head at the height of COVID as a lot more people started coming out as anti-vax. It felt like the year anti-vax went mainstream, and it's literally dangerous. With cases of preventable diseases that have been gone for decades suddenly returning in force is proof that it's not just a harmless conspiracy nut position. It's actually harmful to people in real world ways. How many vaccine deniers have also died of COVID when they could have just taken the vaccine? Edit. Why are the top answers all car related? Lol. I wasn't aware of dangerous ideologies in cars. Are the greatest still in society? That said, driving a Titan death machine is actually dangerous. So I guess it technically counts. Skipping out on vaccines because somebody on a podcast said it is okay. We now have polio and measles, and who knows what else resurfacing because of this. Putting total trust in government and politicians to do what's best for you. They are not your friends. They won't look out for you. They do not give a poop about you. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.